Did you know that bones aren't fixed like concrete? They're living tissue that can rebuild themselves. In fact, studies show seniors who add the right foods into their daily diet can increase bone density without a single pill. That's right. Nature itself has a recipe that can help reverse osteoporosis. Welcome to the Senior Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Howard Tucker, and today we're diving into something exciting, the smoothie that could be a game changer for your bones. And sitting across from me is a man who's not only lived this truth, but taught it for over a century. Japan's legendary physician and longevity expert, Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you, Howard. It's always a joy to be here. And let me start by saying this: osteoporosis is not a life sentence. Bones are like sponges. They can lose minerals, but they can also soak them back up when given the right ingredients.
That's a powerful image. Most people picture their bones as brittle sticks that only get worse with age.
Exactly, and that's the myth. Bones constantly remodel. Every 10 years, you've essentially rebuilt an entire skeleton. But here's the catch. If the raw materials are missing, the rebuild is weak. That's why I recommend what we're calling the osteoporosis reversing smoothie.
And what makes this smoothie different from just popping a calcium pill?
Because it combines nutrients the way nature intended. Calcium is just one brick. You also need vitamin K2 to put that brick in the right place, magnesium to set the mortar, vitamin C to strengthen the scaffolding, and protein to provide the framework. When you bring these together, you get synergy. Studies from the National Institutes of Health and Japanese research groups confirm that when seniors eat these nutrients in combination, bone density actually improves.
So it's not just about adding calcium, it's about creating the whole construction crew.
Exactly. And this smoothie is the construction crew in a glass. Let's build it step by step.
I'm listening. What's the base?
Start with kefir, or unsweetened Greek yogurt. These are rich in protein and probiotics. Protein provides amino acids that bones use as scaffolding, and probiotics improve mineral absorption in the gut. Seniors often struggle to absorb calcium, and probiotics make a big difference.
So the gut is the gatekeeper?
Yes, a healthy gut means stronger bones because more minerals pass through into the bloodstream. Next, add a big handful of dark leafy greens, spinach, kale, or bok choy. These are packed with calcium, magnesium, and vitamin K1. Your body converts K1 into K2, which directs calcium into the bones instead of the arteries.
That's fascinating. Most people think only of milk for calcium, but greens sound like a natural powerhouse.
They are. And for the next ingredient, add a fruit rich in vitamin C: kiwi, orange, or even guava. Vitamin C is essential because it stimulates collagen, which is the framework your bones hang on to. Without collagen, even calcium can't form strong bone.
So collagen is like the glue, and vitamin C helps you make more of it.
Exactly. Now, sprinkle in seeds like chia or flax. They deliver magnesium and omega-3 fatty acids. Magnesium helps set the mineral cement in place, and omega-3s lower inflammation, which otherwise breaks bone down faster than it rebuilds.
That's a clever mix. Dairy for protein, greens for minerals, fruit for collagen, seeds for magnesium, and omega-3s. It's not just tasty, it's scientific.
And here's my favorite touch from Japan: a teaspoon of natto powder or a small spoon of miso paste. Natto is one of the richest natural sources of vitamin K2 on the planet. Studies from Tokyo University show that Japanese seniors who eat natto daily have far fewer hip fractures than those who don't.
That's remarkable. So this smoothie isn't just filling, it's a full-spectrum bone therapy.
Exactly. And the best part? It's enjoyable. Seniors don't need to choke down a dozen pills or worry about side effects. They sip something delicious, and over time their bones respond. Within months, many report fewer aches, more stability, and even improvements in posture.
That's incredible. And I love that it's not complicated. Just a blender, a few ingredients, and consistency.
Consistency is everything. Bones respond slowly but surely. If you give them the right building blocks every day, they will surprise you.
Doctor, before we dive deeper into this smoothie, I think we should step back. Most seniors hear osteoporosis and think it's just weak bones that come with age. What's really happening inside the body?
That's such an important question. Osteoporosis is not simply age. It's a silent imbalance. Your bones are constantly breaking down old tissue and rebuilding new tissue. In youth, the rebuilding outpaces the breakdown. But after about age 50, especially in women after menopause, the breakdown speeds up while rebuilding slows. The result is porous bones. Osteo for bone, porosis for porous.
So it's like a bank account. In youth, you deposit more than you spend, but later in life, you start overdrawing.
Exactly. And just like a bank account, if you don't make deposits, calcium, magnesium, collagen, protein, the account runs dry. But here's the key. Those deposits can still be made. Seniors can improve bone density even after years of loss if the right nutrients are provided consistently.
That sounds almost revolutionary, because most people think bone loss is irreversible.
The science says otherwise. A study in the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research found that older adults who increased dietary calcium, vitamin D, and protein significantly improved bone mineral density within a year. Another Japanese study showed that seniors who added vitamin K2 from natto reduced fracture risk by nearly 60%.
That's remarkable. So food isn't just prevention, it's therapy.
Exactly. Supplements can help in some cases, but food is far superior because nutrients don't work alone. In food, you get cofactors, enzymes, antioxidants, natural compounds that make absorption smoother. For example, calcium in a pill can end up in arteries if vitamin K2 is missing. But in leafy greens or yogurt, calcium comes packaged with magnesium and other compounds that guide it safely into bone.
So that's the danger of the supplement-only approach. You're playing with single pieces instead of the whole puzzle.
Yes, and sometimes those single pieces backfire. For example, excess calcium supplements without K2 increase the risk of calcification in arteries. That's why the smoothie we discussed is so powerful. It delivers balance, not overload.
I see. Let's talk about why bones in seniors become so vulnerable in the first place. Beyond age, what are the biggest culprits?
There are several. First, inflammation. Chronic inflammation, often fueled by sugar and processed foods, accelerates bone breakdown. Second, inactivity. Weight-bearing activity is the signal bones need to strengthen. Without it, they weaken. And third, nutrient loss. Medications like acid blockers or corticosteroids reduce calcium and magnesium absorption. Combine all of that with hormonal shifts, and osteoporosis appears.
That paints a much bigger picture. It's not just age, it's diet, lifestyle, and medications working together.
Yes, and that's why we must use a comprehensive approach. Food is the foundation. Movement is the signal. And medical care is the safety net. But too often, seniors are handed only pills when what they need is nourishment.
And that nourishment can literally rebuild bone tissue?
Absolutely. Bones respond like muscles. Give muscles protein and resistance training, and they grow. Give bones minerals, collagen, and weight-bearing signals, and they thicken. The process is slower, but the principle is identical.
That's such an empowering message. Seniors aren't doomed to fragile bones. With the right foods, especially something as practical as a smoothie, they can actively rebuild strength.
Yes, Howard. And the beauty is that it doesn't require a complete life overhaul. Just one smart addition daily can tip the balance back toward bone growth.
Doctor, in Section 1, you walked us through the ingredients of this osteoporosis reversing smoothie. But I'd love for our listeners to hear the science behind each one, because when people understand the why, they're more likely to stick with it.
Absolutely, Howard. Let's start with the base. Kefir, or Greek yogurt. Both deliver protein and probiotics. Protein provides the amino acids bones need to make collagen. That's the flexible framework inside bone. And probiotics improve mineral absorption. In fact, studies show seniors who take probiotics absorb 20 to 25% more calcium from their diet.
That's huge. So right from the start, we're not just drinking for taste, we're setting up better digestion and absorption.
Exactly. Now, the leafy greens, spinach, kale, or bok choy, give you calcium and magnesium, but they also bring vitamin K1. The body can convert K1 into K2, which is critical. Without K2, calcium drifts into arteries, but with it, calcium is directed into the bone matrix. That's why in Japan, where greens and fermented foods are staples, seniors have lower fracture rates.
So the greens are like the traffic officers, making sure calcium goes to the right place.
Well put. Next, the vitamin C fruits, kiwi, guava, or orange. These are essential for collagen synthesis. Think of collagen as the steel rods inside reinforced concrete. Without it, the calcium cement can't hold. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that seniors with higher vitamin C intake had significantly fewer hip fractures.
That's incredible, and it explains why so many seniors who just focus on calcium pills still end up with brittle bones. They're missing the collagen framework.
Exactly. Now, let's move to the seeds. Chia, flax, or pumpkin seeds. These provide magnesium and omega-3 fatty acids. Magnesium is what hardens bone properly. Without it, calcium doesn't integrate well, and omega-3s reduce inflammation, slowing down bone breakdown. A 2019 study in Nutrients showed that seniors with higher omega-3 intake had greater bone density and fewer fractures.
So seeds aren't just a trendy topping, they're part of the bone's survival kit.
Precisely. Now, here's where the Japanese tradition shines. Natto. It's fermented soybeans, but even in powdered form, it's powerful. Natto is the richest food source of vitamin K2. Research from Tokyo University found that women who ate natto daily had up to 8% lower rates of hip fractures compared to those who didn't. K2 activates proteins that lock calcium into bone. Without it, calcium is misplaced.
That statistic is staggering. 80% lower fracture rates from a food? That's not just diet. That's medicine in disguise.
Yes, and it's natural medicine. Finally, let's not forget hydration. Smoothies provide liquid that helps transport minerals into cells. Dehydration, which is common in seniors, makes nutrient transport sluggish. So even water in the smoothie plays a healing role.
I never thought about that. Just being hydrated can change how well bones receive minerals.
Exactly. And when all these ingredients come together, protein, probiotics, calcium, magnesium, vitamin C, vitamin K2, and omega-3s, you're not just sipping a drink, you're delivering a complete construction kit directly to your skeleton.
That's powerful. So this isn't a health fad, it's literally a prescription in a glass, built from foods people already recognize.
Yes, Howard. And that's why patients actually follow through. Pills feel like a chore. A smoothie feels like a treat. Yet the effect can be life-changing. Steadier steps, fewer falls, stronger posture.
Doctor, now that we've unpacked the science behind the smoothie, I think the big question on everyone's mind is this: how soon can seniors actually feel a difference?
That's an excellent question, Howard. Bones take time to remodel, but the body often gives early signals. Within a few weeks, many seniors notice subtle improvements: less morning stiffness, steadier balance, even stronger grip strength. These aren't dramatic overnight changes, but they're the body's way of saying, "I've been given the right tools, and I'm starting to rebuild."
That's encouraging. So instead of waiting for a scan or a test, people can feel those first signs in their daily lives?
Exactly. Think about it this way. Before density shows up on a bone scan, function shows up in movement. You may find yourself climbing stairs with less hesitation, standing up from a chair with more stability, or even noticing that your posture feels stronger.
That sounds like confidence returning to the body.
Yes, and confidence is everything. Seniors who feel more stable are less likely to fall, and fewer falls mean fewer fractures. That's how nutrition creates a ripple effect, not just stronger bones, but greater independence.
And what about the timeline for measurable change, say on a bone density scan?
Typically, bone scans reflect a change over 6 to 12 months. Studies show that when seniors add vitamin K2, calcium, and protein consistently, bone density can increase within a year. But here's the secret: consistency. Missing one smoothie doesn't matter, but making it a daily ritual, that's what shifts the balance from bone loss to bone gain.
I love that message. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence.
Exactly. Bones reward patience. Think of them as a garden. You don't see the roots growing, but with steady water and nutrients, the garden thrives. The smoothie is that steady nourishment. Over time, the results compound.
And that's the best motivation of all, knowing that each sip is a step toward stronger bones, more mobility, and more freedom.
Well said, Howard. And I would add this: seniors should celebrate the small wins. The first time they notice steadier balance or less pain, that's proof the body is listening.
Doctor, we've built a pretty compelling case for this smoothie, but I suspect food alone isn't the entire story. What else matters when it comes to reversing osteoporosis?
You're absolutely right, Howard. Food is the foundation, but lifestyle is the accelerator. 3 things in particular: movement, sunlight, and stress management. When combined with the right nutrition, they multiply the benefits.
Let's start with movement. I imagine bones respond to exercise the way muscles do.
Exactly. Bones are living tissue that adapt to pressure. When you walk, climb stairs, or lift light weights, you're sending signals that say, "Make these bones stronger." Even simple bodyweight exercises, squats using a chair or walking with light resistance, stimulate bone growth. A smoothie without movement is like bricks without a blueprint. Both are needed.
That makes sense. What about sunlight?
Sunlight provides vitamin D, which is essential for calcium absorption. Without enough vitamin D, calcium from the smoothie can't integrate into bones. Just 15 minutes of morning sunlight can make a difference, and for those in colder climates, fortified foods or low-dose vitamin D supplements may be necessary. In Japan, we often remind seniors that the sun is medicine.
I love that. The sun as medicine. And the third factor you mentioned was stress management. How does that connect to bones?
Chronic stress raises cortisol, a hormone that weakens bones over time. Seniors who are constantly anxious or sleep-deprived lose bone faster. Practices like deep breathing, Tai Chi, or simply social connection lower cortisol and protect bone health. In fact, studies show seniors with strong social ties have both better bone density and fewer fractures.
So it's not just what you drink, but also how you move, how you rest, and how you connect.
Precisely. When these factors work together, the smoothie becomes even more powerful. Nutrition feeds the raw materials. Movement signals where to build. Sunlight activates absorption, and calmness preserves the gains.
That's a beautiful synergy, and I think it gives hope because these aren't extreme measures. They're simple, daily choices seniors can weave into their lives.
Yes, Howard, healing doesn't require perfection. It requires rhythm, a smoothie in the morning, a short walk, a moment of sunlight, and a calm evening. That rhythm restores strength far more effectively than any single pill.
Doctor, I think we should clear up some myths, because a lot of seniors listening might already believe osteoporosis is inevitable.
Yes, Howard. And those myths can be as damaging as the disease itself. Let's start with the first one, that osteoporosis only affects women.
Right? Most men assume it's not their problem.
Exactly. But research shows 1 in 5 men over 50 will experience an osteoporosis-related fracture. And men who fracture later in life often face more serious complications than women. So it's not a women's disease. It's a human disease, and both men and women should take action.
That's eye-opening. What's another common myth?
The idea that it's too late after 70. I hear this often. Doctor, my bones are already weak. There's nothing I can do. But the truth is, bones respond at any age. A study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society showed that even adults in their 80s increased bone density when given the right nutrients and exercise.
So the message is, it's never too late to invest in your skeleton.
Exactly. Another myth is that calcium supplements alone will fix the problem. As we discussed earlier, calcium without K2 or magnesium can do more harm than good. Food-based strategies work better because they deliver the whole team of nutrients together.
I've also heard people say osteoporosis is painless until a fracture happens. Is that true?
Not entirely. While osteoporosis itself is silent, the early signs often show up as back pain, shrinking height, or poor posture from tiny spinal fractures. These are often brushed off as just aging, but they're signals to act early.
That's critical, because if seniors recognize those signs sooner, they can start the smoothie, the exercise, and the sunlight before a major fracture occurs.
Precisely. One last myth worth busting is that medication alone is the solution. Medications can help in certain cases, but without diet and lifestyle, they're only patchwork. True healing comes when we nourish the body, not just medicate it.
That's powerful, and it shifts the mindset from fear to empowerment. Seniors don't need to resign themselves to weak bones. They can fight back naturally.
Well said, Howard. And once seniors understand the myths, they begin to see osteoporosis not as destiny, but as a challenge they can overcome.
Doctor, we've talked about the smoothie, the science, the myths, but I want to end by looking ahead. What's the long-term payoff for seniors who commit to this daily ritual?
The payoff, Howard, is independence. Stronger bones mean fewer fractures, fewer hospital visits, and more years of confident movement. Think about it. The number one reason seniors lose independence is a fall followed by a fracture. By protecting bone density, we're protecting freedom.
That's so true. I've seen patients whose lives changed completely after a hip fracture, and yet, with something as simple as this smoothie, many of those fractures could be prevented.
Exactly. Over the long term, seniors who nourish their bones daily not only walk more confidently, they also experience less back pain, better posture, and even sharper balance. Strong bones create a ripple effect. You don't just stand taller, you feel younger.
I love that. So it's not just about avoiding something bad, it's about gaining something good. Vitality.
Yes, vitality is the word. In fact, Japanese longevity studies show that seniors with higher bone density also live longer overall. Why? Because they stay mobile, connected, and engaged with life. Mobility is medicine. If you can walk, garden, or play with your grandchildren without fear, your whole outlook changes.
That's such an inspiring perspective, and it means that this isn't just a recipe, it's an investment in a future self.
Well said, Howard. A daily smoothie may feel small, but over years it builds a safety net. Each sip strengthens the scaffolding that holds you upright. Each habit lowers the odds of a devastating fracture. And over time, you don't just add years, you add quality to those years.
That's what every senior listening wants, to stay strong, steady, and independent for as long as possible.
Exactly. And the message is simple. It's never too late to start. One smoothie, one walk in the sun, one calm breath at a time. These daily rituals add up to resilience.
Beautifully said, Doctor. And I think that's the perfect note to end on. Simple habits, repeated daily, can quite literally rebuild your future.